This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Malaysia. We are introducing a book coach who can help you identify your strengths while providing tools to improve your writing, as she encourages you to follow the dreams that speak to your heart. I'm here with the author, coach, who has really written from harbors all around the globe. Sue, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me, Gary. I'm really excited. This is great.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. I mean, you are a national award-winning journalist and freelance writer with more than 130 articles and short stories in regional and national publications. For decades, you have honed your skills at developmental editing and book coaching. I mean, you're the author of 2 published picture books and 5 travel guidebooks, and you recently self-published an award-winning coming-of-age memoir. Share with us, first of all, what came first, the love of writing or the love of adventure? How far back do you have to take us for that?
Oh, that's a tricky one. They're very intertwined. I was always a reader, and so I love books. I love stories. My dad told great stories from his adventures in World War II in Asia. So I grew up with a sense of adventure and storytelling. So when I started traveling as a late teenager and then into college, it was natural for me to write long letters home. So that began the writing, was journaling and sharing the stories of what was happening. Seemed natural later when I was married and we were still traveling, then I would keep writing, and I thought, maybe I should try and publish something. That's scary.
I understand. That sounds like a pretty natural progression. Sue, your goal is to really help writers discover their strengths. Did it take you years to find yours? And can an outside perspective see many times what we cannot?
Absolutely. It did take years. And I would say it does not have to take years now, because there are professional coaches. There's so many really great courses online. There are communities to join. There's a lot more cooperation and help than there was in the 1990s. So we were working almost not quite in a vacuum. In the children's literature world, we were all very supportive, but in the adult world, people were pretty much independent and worried about competition. And now there's much more feeling of helping each other and moving everybody forward. We know the world is full of billions of readers.
We didn't have the resources back then to basically, like writers do today. We got writing coaches now. Heck, back in the 90s, it wasn't even called writing coaches. I mean, that was totally something different. You describe your services as a writing voyage. Is an initial idea usually the first step on that voyage? And why should authors write about topics that really speak to their heart?
Well, I think whether you're writing a memoir or fiction or even nonfiction and telling short stories, you want to connect with your reader. And the one thing that really connects writing with the reader is humanity, our universal truths, those things that we relate to. Like, we all get nervous at certain things. Well, not the same things, but we all understand what it's like to feel out of our place, or to be scared, or be excited, or be in awe of something. And so when we write from our heart, then we are communicating universal human reality. It brings our readers in.
Like you said, when you're writing from the heart, you're basically connecting people in all different ways. I mean, with over 40 years of experience as a freelance writer and a decade as a writing coach, are you able to kind of guide writers from an initial idea all the way through to the completed book, if that's what they need?
I certainly am able to. I can't say that I've taken many people from the very beginning through to the very end, other than people doing shorter books like children's books. But yes, absolutely.
You've dealt with both things. You've been published, you've done self-publishing, so you probably realize all those steps in between that probably overwhelm many writers out there. So someone who maybe has a great idea but doesn't know where to start, what is the first step you would recommend they take to begin their writing journey?
So the reason I call my business The Right Voyage is because writing it's a journey, and to me, it's a voyage. No one undertakes this huge book writing adventure. You can't get anywhere if you don't know where you want to go. So the first question is, where do you want to take your reader? You may not know exactly where you're beginning, what shore you're standing on when you start, but you do need to know that you want to get to that far place. And so I have them think about where they want to take the story, where they want to take their reader, and where they went. And once they get that, then other things can fall in place in the middle. But without that, they're lost at sea. There's no hope. There's not no hope. I don't mean that.
I think that's a great analogy. I mean, quite honestly, like they say, when a plane leaves, it knows where it's going, but it has to keep readjusting the entire time. And so it really is a voyage. After they have launched their initial idea, and as they, maybe along the way, they become stuck, you're able to help writers overcome creative blocks, even like that of imposter syndrome. How do you kind of work with a client to build their confidence and maybe find their unique voice?
Everybody's different. And I call upon I worked for years as a peer counselor after college. And one of the main things that we learned was active listening. So I ask questions and then I listen and I try and see what the person's trying to say and help them figure out where they're feeling stuck and why they feel like their story doesn't matter or they aren't going to be able to take these skills on. And then we try and break it down to smaller and smaller chunks and work from there and try and take small steps forward.
Interesting. I mean, not only are you a coach, but you're an author yourself. So I'd like to touch on your recent memoir, Heels to Hiking Boots. I mean, the book's title, it suggests a significant transformation, really. How do the vastly different environments that you have lived in contribute to this book?
Well, yes, definitely. The title was the From Where to Where. Some people think it's stiletto heels in the big corporate world. It wasn't. It was just Pennsylvania growing up in the 50s and 60s, and we had to wear heels that hurt like heck. And I had to wear heels in college that first year. And then I went to the West Coast and I put on my sandals and my hiking boots. The places I've lived have contributed in that I see people all over the world as there's so much the same. We are all so much the same. We all have wants. We want to be well fed and loved and in shelter, but beyond that, we want friendship and we want a smile. And so everywhere, there was a saying back in the, 70s or 80s, maybe it's still around. Wherever you go, there you are. And this really strikes me so that we can write a book about being in Des Moines, Iowa, and going to Chicago. And that can be a big transformation. People don't have to travel the world to have transformation and learn about people. We all have small cultures and communities we live in. And so I help people look for what their change has been.
No matter if we're moving 100 miles down the road or maybe 1,000 or 10,000 across the globe, there's still that common thread that we all kind of want the same things. I mean, your story features a period of carefree escapades, really, in Europe that eventually leads to a hospital stay and a kind of a reevaluation of your life. What was the most important lesson you learned during that turning point, would you say?
To listen to my heart and to quiet those voices of society, whatever they were. My lovely and well-meaning and elegant mother, she had her own life. She'd lived in a whole different time, but she couldn't explain things to me. And I needed to find my own way. And so I began listening to my heart and asking what I wanted and who I was for me.
So really listening to your own heart, which you now help others to do the same. And like you say, your mom probably couldn't understand what you were doing at all. Obviously, there was frustration on both ends. I can imagine that. That's a generational thing that many people experience. I can understand. A memoir at age 75. Why now, And what do you hope readers, especially those who feel a similar, maybe restless heart, will take away from your story about finding the courage to pursue a life that truly lights them up?
Well, I hope my book resonates with people of all ages who are looking. They see that we all have different journeys. I hope mine was enjoyable and interesting and fun and sometimes cringeworthy. But we all have to deal with the outside forces, the pressures of what society wants and versus what our heart says and what we want to do and who we are. And so yes, I'm 75, now 76, and yeah. I don't know that I could have written the book much more before I did, because when you write a memoir, you're actually learning about your life, and you have to be ready to do that. So I found it a fascinating and
you kind of came full circle. I mean, you kind of came full circle. You've been out on the water before. You're now getting back on the water again. Very, very interesting. It's an inspiring story. I mean, your book explores your search for a love that is as wild as your wanderlust. How do you reconcile your desire for adventure and independence with the search for a lasting and committed relationship, which I imagine you have found?
Well, yep, 46 years married to the same adventurous guy. And we both love so many things in common. We love to travel. We love people. We like interesting food. And we also have our own spaces. Even when we're 3 feet apart on the boat, we have our own space. I can be doing my writing, and he works with nautical charts and helps other sailors with their engines and things. And then we say, hey, should we go to town and get Chinese dinner tonight? Or, shall we walk to the market? And, we've been doing that for a lot of years.
Four decades of perfecting being able to live on a small little space like that and actually still find space for yourself. I think that's impressive. You now help other writers follow their heart. You emphasize that a writing coach provides encouragement, accountability, and really an extra set of eyes. How do these 3 elements, in your opinion, work together to help a writer succeed?
It's really important that writers begin to understand right away that someone is going to read their writing. And so many people are afraid to show that writing to someone else. So when you have a coach, you have a safe place to begin to show your writing. And as you get used to hearing the feedback, you become stronger in what you want to say and how you say it. So that's part of the accountability, plus someone saying, yes, you wanted to get this chapter written by next week. Let's see it. And it all works together.
I mean, it works together. I mean, you're basically saying as a coach, you are critical of the way that, you have to provide the feedback, yet at the same time, it's a safe space because you've been there, you've done that, and you understand what needs to be done. Lastly, how do aspiring writers and authors start their journey with you as a coach? Is there a consultation? Are your services set up a la carte for kind of what they need? Explain that.
Right now, my system is one-on-one coaching. It may not stay that way. It's pretty difficult with the time difference, but I start with a consultation and I make sure that we're compatible, that we like each other, that we find each other to be interesting people. That's really important with the coach. So we have a phone call and I tell them how I work and I ask how they're doing on their writing, what they're wanting. And we go from there and see what we can set up month to month, or if I do a manuscript review. There's several different options.
You find out if it's a good fit for both of you. I know there's specific genres that you love working on, other ones that you really don't even touch. I think that's important to really be specific in your niche, helping people. Stu, you have led a life of adventure, traveling solo to West Africa and trekking in the Himalayas, all in search of a sense of home. Is this rewarding work for you and really where you belong? Have you found home?
Yeah, I have found home. I love, after all these decades of all these things, I've had so many different careers before I settled on being a journalist when I was home with our kids. Um, this brings in my peer counseling work, my love of writing, my love of adventure and understanding people, and the skill of writing. So yes, in many ways, I have found home, and I joke that I've failed retirement completely, and here I am, and just totally loving the work I'm doing now.
No matter where your mother may be, I imagine she's looking and saying, I think you figured out what you were doing, and you really you had an idea. You followed your heart, and quite honestly, it has taken you some places that most of us will never see in a lifetime. And I think that's very exciting and inspiring. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen. What you're going to see is her website. On the website, you can find all of her books available on Amazon. I mean, read the great reviews right there on her site as well. You can also book a single coaching call, ongoing support along the way, all the way to your final manuscript. She can review that as well. Her life as a counselor, teacher, writer, adventure traveler, and ocean sailor provides experience that is award-winning and world-class. Once again, that is the right voyage, because your story matters. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.